You can't expect money to simply fall into your lap while you're out here doing your gig hustle, especially during these slower times. Find out what I mean on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer or are a new subscriber of the Gig Geezer, thank you for considering my channel and my content. I want to talk more about how to make $200 or more in these slower times doing your gig hustle. I'm going to share that I work multiple apps. I work as many as 7 apps at one time. I actually scan through 7 apps throughout the time I'm out during my hustles. Now, the apps that I am on are DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Waiter/Bite Squad, Instacart, Point Pickup, and Roadie. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I'm also still active with Uber and Lyft. So I'm actually on 9 apps. And if I really want to throw in the number 10, it would be Ship It, but I've uninstalled that app. And if I were to throw in information, just for reference, material on how I've done in the gig economy, a previous Gig Geezer segment that you see on your screen there is where I showed where I detailed how I've made over $210,000 between the years of 2018 and 2021. So I think by most standards, I've done fairly well in the gig economy, and that's working out of the state of South Carolina. Now, all that is to say, you want to know, how can I put myself in a position to make $200 or more doing gig economy work? Now, I've already said that there are people out there who actually do fairly well working 1 or 2 apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats, or DoorDash and Grubhub, something along those lines. Maybe they go between DoorDash and a rideshare app or rideshare apps. Whatever that situation is, good for you. And really, that's a lot of it has to do with just how your market allows for that type of activity. I have said consistently that in this market, where I'm at primarily out of Columbia, you can't do that. You've got to work multiple apps, simply because there's a lot of broke, thirsty people out there. And I mean, I'm really not knocking. I'm talking about the thirst. I'm not knocking their hustle. I'm just talking about the thirst factor that's out there. It's real. The thirst is real. But that said, how do you put yourself in a position to make $200 or more? Now, I'm gonna go back over a couple of things that I mentioned in the previous one. Number one, you have to have an expectation when you're going out there every day to make $200 or more. The other thing I've said is that you have to have a business mindset. You have to go about this as a business. Without those 2 things, you can't go to the other items. Now, I know that I've talked for about 5 minutes already, and I'm not going to apologize about that, though. But if you feel that I've wasted your time, then there are other people out there in the YouTube sphere. But if you've hung along thus far, hey, thank you. And if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, what are some of the things that you can do? Now, what is reality is that when you leave home every day doing 1099 work of any kind, you don't know what you're going to make. You just don't know. You don't know if you're going to make $5, $10, $20, or $200 or $300, whatever the case may be. And I believe that is one of the things that makes 1099 work so unsettling and uneasy, and why folk tend to go back to W-2 work, is because W-2 work, you know that you're going to have a check, at least you should, every week or every 2 weeks or every month, depending on how your pay periods work. Now, the first thought that has come to me is, when you're out there in the midst of your hustle, Are you sitting in one spot? I see a lot of folks talk about how they go to their favorite spot and wait for orders. I don't sit and wait for orders coming to me. Now, the only time I've ever really sat for anything in the gig economy work is when I would do Uber and Lyft. And oftentimes, how I would start my time that I was out there, depending on the time of the day, is typically the airport was really my comfort spot in starting my time out there doing Uber and Lyft. I would say a plurality, which is not a majority, but a plurality of the time, I would start at the airport, and then I would wait for a ride. Now, there's a riskiness in doing that, in the fact that, hey, while you're waiting for that ride, the ride that you get could just go 5 minutes from the airport, and you've waited all that time for about a $4 ride, and that's happened to me. But again, I see people speak of how they sit, they go to a hot spot, or they go to a favorite place and wait for orders. I can't do that. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I just can't do that. I feel that money is not going to fall out of the sky and into your lap. It just isn't. You have to go out there and get it. So that means over time. Now, if you're someone who is starting out in the gig economy, that may be your comfort level in getting going and doing gig work. And it may not be a bad idea to find a place that you feel comfortable with and waiting for orders. I'd like to think, though, that over time you're going to adapt, and you're going to adjust to whatever way works for you. Now, I know that gas prices, at least in my market, are right on the cusp of $4 a gallon, and it doesn't seem like it makes any sense for someone to be driving around as I speak of doing. The fact is, I'm never in one spot. I'm always driving around looking, or at least hoping, that I'm going to be putting myself in a position for that next opportunity. And I'm going to give you a good example of that right now. I just dropped off a catering order today, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. It was a Chipotle catering order that showed an offer of $18.78. But according to Para, that order is going to pay $89.13. And it actually paid over $89. Now I'm going to now here's the other thing. Here's how it actually came about. I started out my first half hustle with an $8 DoorDash order from Chick-fil-A. And while driving to that Chick-fil-A drop-off, I accepted what was supposedly a $14 Instacart order, and it actually paid $12 and change because there were a couple of refunds. Well, while I was actually inside Public doing the Instacart order, I'd accepted a $21.73 Waiter/Bite Squad order. Now, I mentioned Instacart, and so I actually was driving from the Instacart having dropped off the Instacart order. I was actually driving to the Waiter/Bite Squad pickup at Jersey Mike, and I saw a roadie order come up, I saw a roadie gig come up for $40. And by the way, I'm actually right down the street from that roadie pickup. So yes, this is a pretty good story here, y'all. So I'm like 2 minutes away from the Jersey Mike pickup, and I see this $89 pop up, and with the gold star next to it on Para, and I go back into the DoorDash app, and I see this catering order from Chipotle. Well, guess where did I go? Yeah, that's right, man. I ditched Waiter/Bite Squad for the DoorDash order. And by the way, now when you work in multiple apps, you can do that. But when you're married to one or two apps, you can't really do that, man. And so that's one of the beauties of working multiple apps. you are actually, and I've shared this many a times, you are actually working in its truest sense as an independent contractor, because you are taking the best order that comes your way at that time. But the fact is that I was in motion. I was heading to a location, or I was driving in an area when these two orders came up. Now, after taking the DoorDash order, I happen to get Rody accepts my offer, or my putting in for that offer, and so I had right then and there $129 worth of opportunity, just like that, and I was not sitting in a spot. That's one of the things I think people have to get in their mind when they're out here doing gig economy work. You can't sit in one spot. You can't expect money to come to you, drop into your lap. This ain't like in the 1990s when you had that fake prophet, Leroy Thompson, talking about, money, come on to me now. It ain't like that. This ain't no slot machine type thing, man. This is 2022. No, this is a different world out there. And by the way, and I'm not knocking you if you are of a certain persuasion now, but I don't believe that you can speak stuff like this into existence. You just have to be out here trying to make it happen. I believe that's really the only way. Now, I picked up this type of a habit doing rideshare as well. A lot of the money that I made doing rideshare was when I was actually driving around. You know, what you're doing is you're trying to put yourself in the right place at the right time, because a lot of times that's what it's all about, being in the right place at the right time. But I'll also submit that, and I had a somewhat of a lengthy interaction with another driver out there. DoorDash Revolution, hey man, you know, it's all good. I just believe that these algorithms understand our order selection preferences, and in relation to your metrics about your on-time percentage and your acceptance rate and your completion rate and your driver ratings and all this stuff, I don't believe that really has anything to do with it. It's about your body of work over a period of time. My body of work with DoorDash is over 4,500 delivery completed. My body of work with DoorDash now is almost 4,500 completed deliveries. My body of work with Uber rideshare is over 3,000 rides. Lyft, 1,600 rides. Rody, where I'm actually parked now to pick up these tires, is over 800 gigs. Waiter/Bite Squad, several hundred, if not at least 1,000 completed deliveries. Grubhub, well over 3,000 completed deliveries. So you get what I'm saying. There's a body of work out there, and these algorithms interpret that as well, and they play to it. That's just my theory. Alrighty, so I just picked up this order from the tire distributorship. I've probably described. I know I have described this in the past gig user segments. The Columbia market has three primary places, three prominent tire distributorship locations, and this is one of them. There's actually one that's literally right next door to these guys, and then there's another one that's on the other side of town, about 20 minutes away. But as I've described already, I wasn't sitting in one spot when I was in position to catch these orders. In fact, you may hear drivers talk about being how some orders may take you out of position. Now, there are, as you can imagine, there are places that you're more comfortable, or areas of town that you may be more comfortable to work. I don't articulate any specific places, because really that is more of a personal thing. That's it's more of a personal thing, because what may work for you may not work for me, and given that markets are different, you know, I may run into people here in Columbia that they'll tell me that they'll work one area, and that area just doesn't work well for me. So I will say though, given the way things are slow, that you still have to be open to work other areas, because you can there's that stubbornness factor. The worst thing you could be in gig